How is it that this guy, we're told, Thomas Crooks, he has no criminal history, but they said that they identified him using DNA. But what database were they using?
I doubt that that's actually true, number one.
So they're lying to us. Why are they lying, Kyle?
They're always lying. That's what I mean. So what they do is they do omissions. My understanding is that he was actually identified through a database from the serial number of the rifle, which the ATF is not supposed to keep, but they do keep because the ATF doesn't really care about federal law, kind of like the FBI sometimes likes to look and do things that are not appropriate. Right. So they have this huge database of all the 4473s from any FFL that's gone out of business, and they have it on paper, but they have a way to get through it really quickly, and they found it in 30 minutes. That tells me that it has some sort of digitization that they shouldn't have. Mm-hmm. Who's looking at that? I don't know. I'm sure they have a way to run to like box number 5 and go find it, but all of that is really, really shady. The ATF knows far too much about what guns people own, but that is far more likely. The other thing you could do is you could confirm if you really had to for like next of kin, familial DNA swabs.
Right.
But so that means you have to find dad first.
Right.
And you would have to suspect it. Which was why you would do that. I just don't think DNA is possible at that speed.
And that's why I was like, that immediately came out. And first of all, I was like, why is no reporter asking this question? Because and the other question is,
who was saying it? Because I don't remember reading it from a federal source. What I remember is seeing news media sources saying that sort of thing.
Well, news media sources said that an agent that briefed them said that.
Right. The sort of like we have a source. A lot of these like we have a source things. I'm very. Are you in a position to actually have that source, and would they trust you? And when they tell you that, because we don't actually see the ongoing event like that shield, minus what Chris Wray did the other day, is a catch all bullets, stop all things, do not pass this shield, and we won't give you any information. So I was actually shocked that Chris Wray said as much as he did in front of Congress.
I was too.
I'll give him kudos for that. I also think he lied about some other things, so there's that. But when he was actually going out and giving information, 8 shell casings, the thing that the Secret Service director was hiding from everybody, it's like, come on. Like, is this really where you're going to go? And just tell people. It doesn't matter. It's brass.
Like, you knew that you were going to get asked that question.
Correct.
to act so unprepared was very wild to me.
Agreed.
Okay, so I'm going to get you here.
Okay, good.
All right. So you guys, I'm sure, have seen, Steve, I think, I don't know if this was a Blaze exclusive or not, but the tracking data from the Oversight Project with the Heritage Foundation. Yep. And they tweeted out, initially, they said someone who regularly visited Crooks' home and work, also visited a building in Washington, D.C. located in the Gallery Place, which is in the same vicinity of an FBI office. And this took place on June 26th, 2023.
Mm-hmm. To be honest,
just saying.
That's a huge facility. It's right next to an arena.
God, Steve.
You've got a movie theater.
I thought you were my friend.
Shopping, restaurants, all of these other things. But Kyle can also tell you there is a large FBI footprint in the building. What is it, 11 stories?
It's 11 stories. I think they have one of those floors.
Yeah, and the thing that we are doing is we have achieved the ad ID card on this phone that went there, and we are using our resources to do a much more accurate
pinpointing
of it.
Okay.
With the resources we're using, we can get it down to about 3 meters and see which floor they're on.
Okay. How long does that take? I need to know right now.
Well,
I'll debunk it because it doesn't.
No.
It's going to be really.
What really sucks is the fact that this whole was it cloud strike thing that happened the other day actually set that program down for several days.
Oh.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why, Kyle.
Sometimes a banana is just a banana, as Sigmund Freud said. Let's break apart that information.
Yeah, please.
First of all, I like Mike Howell a lot. We talk in the background, and I really appreciate what he's done. And I've been also spreading the false rumors about what the 2025 project is all about. So I've told people every child is going to be issued a childhood concussion and slip and slides. Like I'm big on that fun thing. So I think that we do need more aggression, and Mike is aggressive. Think about what regularly visits your house means. So whatever, this is the advocacy that I sit with. I am a skeptic. Even the things that I want to believe, the things that I think are probably true, I always try to disprove them. That's how you become a good investigator. Mm-hmm. If you go out there and set forth to say, I have this supposition, now I'm going to go prove it, you should do it by trying to disprove it. I've done that in a case that I worked in the Bureau, and it was one of the proudest things I've done. I found a guy who was alleged to basically be sexually molesting children below the south of the border. And what we were able to find out is that all the facts basically went the other way. We had to get some court records unsealed, and at the end of the day, we actually sort of exonerated him, and we dropped any federal investigation, and they just gave him like a slap on the wrist for state charges because he traveled without giving notification. So that is a good way to operate, and that's what people should really be doing. You should try to disprove your wildest theories.
I don't like
Otherwise, you're going to be victimized by your own theories. So who regularly visits your house if you were to think about it? Take a pick, just...
My parents.
Okay.
Babysitter.
Okay.
The mailman.
The mailman,
Yeah,
Amazon,
yeah.
UPS, your
Yeah.
neighbor's gardeners, and anybody that's doing kind of landscaping in the business. The people that check your water meter. So the problem is that you could have people that are regular visitors to your home on the ad ID of their phone that have nothing to do with you, that you've never even met or you don't know them by name. And
So
so
work too.
But
They
they
visited home and work.
Correct. That's correct.
okay,
So how far away is home and work?
that's the
Because it
question.
could be
Because
the
it's very
same-
possible if you live in a small town that the same Amazon driver or UPS or Postal Service. So let's just say that's one possibility. The second thing is, and this is more to the point of, I lean towards what Josh Hawley's whistleblower said, which is essentially that it was too hot on the roof, and that's why Greg went inside. Poor Greg. If you've ever worked around federal employees, shortcuts are very common. It turns out that you
Really?
don't work in the most like merit-based system, and that's not to take anything away from the capabilities of the professionalism of the Secret Service. But if you gave me a choice of saying, "Hey, Kyle, do you want to stand outside?" Because I've done this. I was at Trump's inauguration for 12 hours, and it was very cold and miserable, and I had the wrong shoes on, and my feet really hurt. But you stand out there because that's your job.
Right.
And I was there with the Secret Service uniform division guy. We were in plain clothes, so we did that. I've done that for the State of the Union multiple times in what are called NSSE's, National Special Security Events. So I've gone out and done this work. I've been outside the Capitol when the president was speaking and so on. So if you get the choice, though, do you want to stand outside with this crowd and be cold and it's starting to rain on you? Or would you like to go sit inside that car that's 50 yards away and you can keep an eye on them? I'm in the car every time if I have a choice, unless there's an active threat that we have to engage. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Going inside and having an extended pee break or whatever was going on with Greg, poor guy, who's now going to forever be known. Like, I just can't get the name out of my head because they say
It's a perfect name for
it's
this,
great. Yeah.
by
It's
the way.
like, Greg, come on, man. He's got the pictures. So, the idea that you would leave your post to go because it was hot or you had a better vantage point. And the other problem is once you realize that happens, no law enforcement officer, no federal agent, no cop wants to take a shot when there's the possibility that you're shooting another cop. So the blue on blue reality of somebody who's inside of an area where someone is supposed to have a gun, but it's not the guy that you thought.
Right.
That would be the worst case scenario, that you took a headshot and took out Greg, who decided to put on shorts, and you didn't recognize it because you're seeing all the things that don't make sense in that space. You're seeing person who's either supposed to be there, but should be in some sort of tactical clothes or some recognizable thing, body armor and so on. You're seeing somebody that's dressed inappropriately, but they have a weapon. And how on earth did they get a weapon into that space where they're supposed to be an armed officer or agent? So that's really, really hard. And you could see that if, when the radio calls start going out, deconfliction would probably go completely haywire. That all the things are coming in. Everybody's trying to clarify. The guys fell off the roof and the rifle and all that stuff. The kid's got a few seconds to go do something. He missed. So all of the conspiratorial wild stuff, for me, I go, well, he wasn't successful. He killed somebody, but not the target that we believe that he was aiming for.
Right.
So why do we need additional shooters to solve the problem of somebody did something, missed, may have actually had his best miss was closer to a hit, right? Because Trump's hit is an ear. That could have been an aim off to the left dramatically, and that the furthest thrown shot was to the right and actually hit him. So anyway, people were like, he was aiming for the head and he just barely missed. Well, maybe he was aiming for the head, but his zero was off and he actually was shooting a foot to the left and he managed to get one shot that scraped him. So again, a skeptic. The last thing, and this is the most federal experience as well. One, it's too hot. I'm going inside. That's really reasonable. The second thing is this. FBI agents love not sitting at their desk if they have a choice. The agents that work at Gallery Place are no different. They worked in the Washington field office. That's where I used to work. I was there for over 5 years. So when you get a choice to get in your car and drive closer to your home so that you can go activate your source phone that you've been using to go and meet up with your source, which you probably wouldn't have them meet at their home anyway, for whatever that's worth, that's not good tradecraft. You wouldn't do that. You would also go far away from the office and you'd stay away from the office and you don't activate it again unless you messed it up. Now that phone apparently only pinged like 8 or 9 times one day near Gallery Place. And as Steve said, the Verizon Center is there, which is huge. There's a movie theater, there are restaurants, and there's 11 floors of office buildings. So nothing away from the possibility that we should look into whatever that is. And I hope that people are investigating that. It's not a smoking gun. There's a lot of breaks in the line between those two things, and there's a lot of holes in it. So again, I remain skeptical until evidence says otherwise. And I think people should too. Not that we're going to get it from the FBI, by the way.
Well, that's the problem is like, don't worry. The FBI is they're looking into it.